Welcome back to the shop. So today I got a little project I got to do. I got to make up a sample for a client. So I'm doing a kitchen and they want a kind of a beveled shaker look like that one right there. So the interior profile has got a bevel, but my door manufacturer, they don't make one with a steep 45-degree cut. So I can't really mimic that one by ordering a door in. So I'm going, well, how can I produce this in the shop? So yesterday I went, okay, it was fairly simple. I'll just mill up a 7/8 inch piece. I'll run a couple of bevels, split it in half, and then miter it together. And that's what I ended up with here. So I mitered this frame and then applied it to 1/2 inch white oak here that I had left over. And it worked. And it works great, but it's a fair bit of work if I got to miter all these things, and if you're off on your miter, it's just going to look like a disaster. So my thought was to make two styles, left and right, and then two rails, top and bottom rail. But then I would have to do what's called a haunching, meaning I'd have to make a cut and then a little miter right there. And I've done that before, but it's still a lot of work. And I'm going, okay, well, but it's the look I want at the end of the day is what I want. So this is the procedure that I'm going to take to try to see if I can duplicate this 5-piece door look and to make it look good. Now, the advantage to this kind of thing when you're doing it in the shop is, let's say you wanted to make a back panel for an island, end panel for a side of a cabinet, anything you want. This is the beauty. You can make it in-house here in your shop, and you can save the cost of having to order, especially those big panels. Making them in the shop is way easier to do. Anyways, I'll show you the process of what I'm doing here, and maybe it's helpful to you. Okay, so I want to split this in half. Okay, so I got the bevel on both sides of this. I ran this over the joiner, so I got a nice straight flat edge there. But I want to split this in half. So it's 7/8 of an inch thick. So I'll simply just set the saw at 3/8, and I want to run this in 2 passes, because that's an awful lot to ask of your saw to run through this whole thing in one shot. So I'm going to run it twice, or at least once, raise up the blade, and then cut through. There we go. Sometimes you can't see the forest through the trees. I was originally going to take this and cut this and then cut it at a 45-degree angle. And I'm looking at this going, that's just stupid. Why don't I just take a piece of wood, cut it at a 45-degree angle like this, and put it together? Well, lo and behold, that works great. Anyways, I'll show you what I'm doing. bit of glue. Just don't want to get it too far into that profile because I don't want it squeezing out. I think even at this 45, it gives just that much of a better glue surface than just a simple butt joint. There we go. All right, so I got this is what I call swear tape, because every time I use it, it peels off in the wrong direction and it makes me want to swear. And it takes all my self-control not to. Okay. So I think by doing this, this is probably gonna, yeah, I can feel it. It just rides up just a little bit. So I can't pull too hard on it. There we go. Yeah, so I can push that down. So I got a little bit of flex in that, which is fine. Well, it made me a liar. It didn't tear. Okay. There we are. I already pre-sanded that. And I've done these, something similar to this before, and I try to stay within about about 3/4 of an inch from this inside edge here. It's only just a sample door anyway, so. Okay. There we are. I want to line this up the best I can. Because it wants to skate all over the place at this point. When I've done similar jobs like this before, what I do is if I got two that are identical, I'll just put a small 32 or 23 gauge nail in the corners just to hold it so it doesn't skate around. Okay. Yeah, I can get that. Definitely on the joints. I can see that just as I do that, I can see them being pushed down nicely. Okay, I'm learning with you. Okay, I think that's pretty good. Not bad for a sample door. All right, so there it is. Just quickly trimmed it up. Just on the table saw, just everything is nice and square. So right now I'm just going to put some spray adhesive on it, just as 3M spray adhesive. Go. This stuff works pretty well for doing edge banding. I kind of like it. You know, for small little appliques, it's just great. Then I don't have to use my edge bander. There we go. Let that sit for about 5 minutes and I can put it on. Okay, so I always use the back of my hand here, and if it feels kind of cold, you need to let it wait. But this is right at about, should be just slightly tacky. Generally 5 minutes is more than enough to allow it to set up properly. Oop, gotta be careful here. These things are indispensable. Just an end trimmer. And I just bought a brand new double-sided trimmer from Fast Cap. The other one I had was getting a little on the dull side. And I figured, okay, I'll just buy a brand new one, and it works so much better. It's so much better than the old one. Like these things actually work pretty cool. They have a little gasket on each side here, and they interlock like this, and it works with air like that. There's no spring inside of it, which is neat. Okay. Unfortunately, this edge banding that I have here is 7/8, and the thickness of this is just a little over 13/16, so it'll be perfect for any kind of door application. But I want to show you how good this can be for like back panels, island back panels, because like if you think about what you have to pay if you get somebody to manufacture a panel like, let's say a back panel that's 3 feet high by 8 feet long, and you want to have it like as a door panel. Well, you do the math on that, that gets pretty darn expensive. And you think, you know, how much you can make with, you know, a couple of boards of white oak and a 1/2 inch panel. Like, look at that. Beautiful. Okay, and like I said, I don't think I'd want that as a door in the kitchen, just because these edges could easily be pulled up. But for a panel, you could even put a solid edge on the front. Let's say it was going to be like a gable on an island or something like that. You put an 1/8 of an inch solid on that, and that would protect it perfectly. And then a baseboard on a wraparound, and let's say a miter. This would be perfect. Or a panel on the side of an upper. You put a solid edge on the front of that, and it'll take any of the impacts or anything like that. So I learned something today. Who knew? Anyways, that was a fun little project, and at least now I know what I'm up against if I have to make this for the client. I know how to make this, and I know a few of the little pitfalls. There we have it. There's the end product. I'm pleased with the way that turned out. Edge. There's the back. Well, just one more thing I can give as a recommendation to a client.